Greetings, webcoder. API consumer. We consume data from an API provider. And this could be, once we get using a public API, it'll be anywhere on the World Wide Web that there's a public consumer provider available. And that can be weather APIs, it could be Google has they're just growing listings of APIs, all kinds of APIs out there to get data. Lots of data these days, right? And that's why these APIs are so popular. And that's really what it's all about. So let's take a look. The important thing about this is the URL. We have, of course, the host name where we're going to get the API data from. In our case, it's just going to be our local one that we just built, our provider. And then we have a path that we're going to send it to tell it what we want, what we want to get from it, the kind of data. And then we're going to give it a couple parameters so it knows how to do the calcs for us. In this case, we're telling it to convert length for us, and we're sending it a unit here, which happens to be meters, and a value of 2. We're sending a key to let us do it, to authenticate us. All right, and let's see how it works. The code is actually very simple for a consumer. This is provided for us in a node module, system module, global module, right here, and we just tell it to get. And we send it that URL. Again, the URL is the important part. And we're also sending it a read function. And we're using a data receiver object that we'll be able to reuse for other APIs as well. And you can look at the code in detail for that. But the important thing is that that thing actually, as it receives data, it puts it into this data string. That's where the data is coming in. It reads one chunk at a time because this data can be big. Our first example is not big, but it can be very big, right? So it reads a chunk at a time. When it's done, then there's a finish to it, and once it's finished, it then does whatever kind of number crunching you want to do with that data. In our case, we're just going to show the data. We'll just actually iterate here. This is the for each. We're just going to iterate over the results, the data, and we're just going to print it to the console. And this is what we would kind of expect. So again, let's see if we can now walk the walk. We talked the talk. Let's get the code. And we go grab that code and I'm going to copy that into a local directory where we're working. It's telling us in this case we actually do not need to do npm. So this is just a little experiment. So we don't need to do a npm. It does say to be careful here that an editor may only allow you to run one node program at a time or one server at a time. So we'll see how that works. And we have to have our server running, of course, to serve us the data. So let's hop over to first our server here, our provider, I should say, I'm sorry, our provider, and get that running. And I am going to actually run this from the console just to make sure that we don't have any, like this gotcha says here. And actually Notepad can run too if you have 2 windows open, but we'll do it this way. So it's very simple, obviously, anyway, right? We just get it running. It's starting on 3000. So the provider is running. They're waiting for a request. Now we're just going to go into this one here. And you can look again through that code, but it's nice and short. That's what we like, right? With the important thing, again, the URL. Let's give it a run. And it received that data back from that API. So there it is. This consumer called that API, that provider, just kind of like when we normally code and we do something like in our normal code, we send a function that might say sum these numbers, sum 10 and 5. That's how we make a call, right? In the API world, the only difference is we're making a call through a URL. This is our call here. So kind of similar that way. So that is an API consumer, and we'll talk to you soon.